This story actually involves you. When I was living in New York, you texted me one time. You were on a layover, I think, going to Japan. You were there for the night, and you said, "Are there any comedy shows we can go to?" So I grabbed my other buddy. We met up with you, and you were with Ken Anderson, Mr. Anderson, and we went down to a show in Brooklyn. And Aziz Ansari was on the show trying out new stuff, which will happen frequently at shows like that. It was $5 or $10 to get in. Aziz is being very open about he's trying new things. He's got his notebook out, and Mr. Anderson couldn't believe that we had paid to get into a show and the comic wasn't doing their A stuff, that they were just trying shit. But during Aziz's set, someone else in the crowd starts yelling at him, heavy rain, and Aziz doesn't know what he's talking about. But when the hosts come back, they go, "That's actually a Kumail Nanjiani bit that you're yelling," which, a little racist, whatever. But we then leave and we go into the city. We're going to go to another show, Whiplash, which was, at the old UCB there. And on the way, though, we get in the city and we're walking past the Chelsea Hotel, and the other guy who was with us, he goes, "Oh, that's where Sid killed Nancy." And Mr. Anderson goes, "Sid killed a chick?" Which was very funny to me. I don't know if he was joking or not, but we get over to UCB. You and Anderson go up and you're sitting kind of tucked up in a corner, and me and my buddy stayed down talking to people. And I was thankful that that's how it went down, because Aziz comes out on that show. He's doing multiple sets, and Aziz is partway into his stuff, and Mr. Anderson yells, "Heavy rain." And Aziz had no idea what was going on.
Can you picture Mr. Anderson just saying that? Heavy, with that voice? Heavy rain. These calls, of course, are anonymous, even though this caller said that I called them and wanted to hang out with them in New York and see some comedy. The call's anonymous. Now, sure, this caller's voice and embodiment reminds me of my friend Vince Averill. And so since I'm thinking of Vince, Vince hosts a podcast called We Watch Wrestling with his buddy and known PWG heckler, Matt McCarthy. And I wonder if Matt McCarthy was that other friend that was with this caller. Download their podcast wherever you get podcasts. They'll also be doing a live We Watch Wrestling version in Chicago during All Out Weekend. We Watch Wrestling on Instagram. We Watch W Podcast on Twitter. Vince is a very funny comedian. And his wife has a podcast called My Favorite Murder, in which I think Vince runs the live events. And I think they talk about him a lot on the podcast. But we're not talking about Vince and We Watch Wrestling right now. We're talking about this instance, which was very fun. I think about this a lot because I was so excited that I got to see Aziz twice, a very well-known comedian. I think we just kind of walked in because the two anonymous comedians were friends with everybody. And it's funny what the caller remembers and what I remember, because Aziz was trying out new material, and he just said, "I went to the dentist. It was kind of weird." And then he goes, "That's all I got." And then he just moved on. And I think that's when Ken was like, "What is going on?" And I'm like, this is so awesome. It's like wrestlers at the gym trying shit out, except it's a comedian who does arenas here at his gym trying things out. And he's like, he just said he went to the dentist and he thought comedy was going to come of it. And it didn't. And so I think that's what inspired him to, I guess, heckle Aziz at the next show. I also forgot why I was in Jersey at that point. So that makes sense. Heading to Japan, Ken was living in Jersey at the time. I think he had been released by WWE and was trying to be in movies. Called up my two friends, went out on the town, which for me, of course, means watching comedy, and then headed over to Japan and probably got felt up by a blow-up doll for DDT. So definitely a success all around. Hey, thanks for watching. That call was part of a whole podcast called Wrestling Anonymous. Listen to the whole thing weekly. Wherever you listen to your podcast, go subscribe. While you're at it, subscribe right here on YouTube to Colt Cabana's channel. Thank you.